Hello there guys, this is SCVverse, and I'm back with another Cardfight Vanguard deck profile for you guys. Hope you guys enjoyed, and let's see how it goes. Today we got Zorga, the Mystical Spiritus, and sorry for the background, I have to have my fan on. It is super hot with all the lighting and everything, and no really air conditioning I have. But still not going to stop me from making deck profiles for at least for right now, and some more base videos coming up. And I hope you guys enjoyed. If you do, please like and subscribe down below. And I hope you guys enjoyed. This is my deck profile for Spiritualist. Not the updated Festival one, because that grade 3 is a little too expensive right now for me. So I'm using Zorga still with the current current deck. No new orders or anything. I could afford the new order, but I haven't gotten it yet. But the grade 3 will have to wait. But for the meantime, let's get on to this deck profile for this basically regular version of Zorga. So if you don't know what Zorga does and its ride line, here it is. The Dreaming, normal starter with second turn draw. Raid Chainer, Soul Blast, draw 2, and you drop an order. If you don't drop an order, you have to drop 2 cards instead. For its rearguard skill, it gains 2k if you use an order this turn, and that's it for that one. For Black Tier Hush Dragon, when it's placed, you add an order back to the hand. We just did the deck profile over Seal Blaze Maiden. This is basically the same skill, but came out first for that. And then its second skill for its rearguard, if you play an order, it gains 5k. Both are okay abilities for these grade 1s and 2s. Sometimes you might call them out to rearguard since I don't have them in the deck, but other than that, they're still good cards for ride line. Here we have Zorga, the main boss unit. He is really good, and I love his I love this deck. I've always wanted to build it since day one because I fancied Alchemagic versus all the other profiles. So I finally got to make this deck, and I'm very happy about it. So if you don't know what Zorga does, his first ability allows you to Alchemagic. Alchemagic is when you use an order from hand, then you combine a card from the drop zone that's an order in order to use its skill from the first order on top of each other. So basically you use 2 orders per turn instead of 1 order per turn. That's what makes this deck so unique and fascinating. His second skill, which is really good, it's a counter boss one to call any card from a drop zone to a rearguard, which sets up a lot of plays and stuff, and a lot of rearguards back to the field. So for the deck, grade 3s, I play 7. Of course, normal 4 Zorgas, and then 4 Roaming Prison Dragons. Prison Dragon is my main unit of this deck. I follow this card to the bitter end. I just love how its skill is. Its skill is in drop. When you play an order, you can call this card to the rearguard. So even Alchemagicing, you can call it to rearguard. When it's called to a rearguard, you gain the effects. If you played 1 order, you get to choose 1 effect. But if you Alchemagic, you can choose both. Since this deck always Alchemagics, this card is basically a free with its buff, which both for the skills. For one of them, it's at 10,000. Since he is at 5, that's 15. And the other one is +1 crit. So that is really good since he'll be automatic 15k +1 crit. It's good to have 2 of these in the drop zone to have your front row, and then your Vanguard Zorga puts a lot of pressure on your opponent. For the grade 2s, I don't play that many. I would play 4, but I only have 3 Shadow Cloaks plus 1 Soul Revelation. 1 Soul Revelation is good for countercharging and putting a card in Soul, but if you would run 4 Shadow Cloaks, that would probably be better. Can't really play much cards because of all the orders, But that Silver Revelation, I just explained it. The skill for Shadow Cloak, when you call him from hand, which is very specific, because it will be too overpowered because of Zorga's skill. So basically, when you call this card from hand, you look through your drop zone and you discard a order from your deck to the drop zone that doesn't have the name of that card in the drop zone. And then the second skill is really cool and important too. When you play an order, you Soul Blast 1 to add 5,000, which is already good enough. Then if it was Alchemy Magic this turn instead of an order, you get to add the additional skill, which is to choose a Vanguard, you may, and bounce it back to the hand. So you can add back cards like Rogue Headhunter back to the hand in order to either guard with next turn or to place back for the skill again. Of course, you can use Zorga's skill to call a perfect guard from your drop zone, and then add Shadow Cloak to add that back to the hand. So that is it for those cards. For the grade 1s, don't play many as well, for obvious reasons. First, I play 8 grade 1s. 4 of them are Headhunter, Rogue, and 4 complete guards. Complete guards are self-explanatory. Gotta have them, gotta need them. And then 4 Rogue Headhunters. This is the most important card of the deck, at least in my personal opinion. One for all, its skill adds 5k continuous if you played an order this turn. So not only is it a beater and plus booster for 13, that's amazing. Plus its second skill is when it's placed this turn, when you Alchemy Magic, not order, Alchemy Magic specifically, you reduce the counterblast of that Alchemy Magic by 1 point. So if you go 2, you can reduce the counterblast by 2 this turn. And so on and so on. So this is a really important card for Alchemy Magicking and saving your resources for not counterblasting too much, or just saving the counterblast for later on. For skills like Zorga and other orders. On to orders. I play quite a few. First, I play 3 Regulation of the Underworld. This is basically the this is what I play for the first version of the order that came out with Grave Despair. I couldn't pick up that order, but I could pick up this one. So essentially an extra counterblast order, but I get to call 2 cards instead of 1. But of course I don't get that 5k power bonus, but that's whatever. It's still counterblast Soul Blast to retire any card on the field in order to call 2 cards of, if it was Alchemy Magic, of course, you get to call 2. If it isn't, you only get to call 1. But if Alchemy Magic, you get to call 2 of the same cards of that grade of that card. So if you retire opponent's grade 1 unit, you get to call 2 grade 1 unit like Rogue Headhunters, of course. And that would also trigger Rogue Headhunter skill, but of course it wouldn't really matter because you're Alchemy Magicking at that time. Then I play, for power-ups, you gotta play Grief, Despair, Rejection. This is an amazing order for 3 units, gain 10,000 power. It's just so good. I know the new order plus the new grade 3 basically essentially does this already, but since I don't have that deck, this will have to do, and I find it still fascinating for that. Those are my most important ones, so I play those the most. All the other orders are one-ofs. 1, Ghost Chase. It's a blitz order. So during your opponent's turn, basically, you order this. You take a rear guard from your field back to the hand, and it adds 5k to 1 unit that's being attacked. Good for adding perfect guards back to the hand in order to use a perfect guard. 1 gathering. What is it? Gather upon me your wandering souls. Gives an extra drive to your Vanguard if you discard an order, but you have overcoming unnatural death. Counterboss 1, bind this card. So basically, if you alchemagicking this with the bind, the order that you also used it will also be bound too. But it's essentially really good because its skill is Counterboss 1 to bind this, but you get to add 2 orders from your drop back to your hand. So adding guards back to your hand are always good. Then I'll play Nectar of Symbolism, and for the last order, Tearful Malice. I probably want to play one more Malice if I can, but it's whatever right now. Nectar of Symbolism adds 5k to 1 unit for every 5 cards in your drop zone. And then if there are 15 cards in the drop zone, the unit also gains a crit. That's good for the late games and stuff, or just adding extra power if you ever want to. Tearful Malice is a perfect card for this deck if you go against decks that aren't like Dragon Empire, or any deck that doesn't really retire much. Because with Tearful Malice, you need to get rid of the prison dragons on your field. Because if they're on the field, they can't activate from the drop zone in order to recall the next turn. If your opponent didn't attack them, of course, or retire them, or whatever. Tearful Malice solves this abundance really clearly. Especially if you have like 2 on the field. So basically, Tearful Malice retires 2 rear guards, which activates Roaming Dragon skills, to put in the soul of this card, which means if this is bound for the skill, the card that's bound that you ordered also moves in the soul instead. To draw a card and counter charge. So basically, when you use Tearful Malice with Roaming Dragons on the field, you have to pay the cost first for ordering for your orders. Once the cost is paid, because your cost was retired to rear guards to activate the orders, Roaming Dragon is now in the drop zone, which now triggers its effect. So when you play an order, because now the order is being played, you can call the Roaming Dragons at 10,000 power and +1 critical, which is an amazing combo. I was running 3 at first, and then I changed up the deck because I got my Rogue Hedgehunters and my Shadow Cloaks. So I couldn't fit more than 1. If I can, you probably, for this specific, you probably do want to make 2. At least 2 of these just to try to get them in your hand. Even with Shadow Cloak, it's still hard to get this card sometimes. On to the triggers for the last lineup and the end of this deck profile. 4 crits, of course. Then I play 2 crits also. Then I play 5 fronts. I don't play draws. 1 order. And 4 heals. I play the front crit build because of the deck. Like I said, with the Roaming Dragons on the field, if you attack with Zorga first, and then if you get a front or a double front, it just adds more power to the Roaming Dragons. So it's better to have the extra 10 for your Roaming Dragons than it is for an extra draw. Crits, obviously, to crit pressure your opponent. Because Zorga is attacking first, if you get a crit, that's an extra damage, because then they have to block the Roaming Dragons. Of course, self-explanatory for Overtrigger and heals. Hope you guys enjoyed. Please make sure to like and subscribe if you enjoyed it. Please comment down below if you want to make any recommendations for this deck, other than the new cards, of course, because those are self-explanatory. But anything that I should try to change or whatever, I'm okay with feedback on that. Hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, make sure to like and subscribe. And I hope you guys are having a good day. See ya.